Well, hey everybody. Sorry this is a little bit later in the day, but but Thursday's a long day. We just got back from rehearsal and worship rehearsal over in Henderson. But anyway, I was thinking about, it was the first time. I love doing Periscope. Hopefully this is working for you. But the very first time I ever did it, I had to tell you this. The very first comment I ever got was, "You're ugly." Okay, so I've told you guys you can actually ask questions, and so now that I've had "You're ugly," I can pretty much handle anything that you may want to say. But try not to do that one because it's already been done. All right, and it's like, hey, I know that, but you don't have to, say it that way. And also, you can do questions, kind of write them in while it's going on. If you have questions from the last one that we're doing. So anyway, I was remembering, I introduced last time, we're going to do a few changes coming November 1st. And I want to stress, first of all, these are experimental. We just want to try some things. We just want to try to adjust the services in the interest of doing our mission. And I was reminded, my wife and I were over at Lowe's in Henderson one time. And we happened to overhear a group of people in the next aisle talking about One Life, talking about our church. And we totally creeped on. We totally eavesdropped. It wasn't right, but we did it anyway. And they were saying some kind of nice things. But one guy said, I went over there and I don't know, they sang forever and ever and stood. And it was, and you could tell he was having a hard time adjusting to the fact now that we, at the very first of the service, you come in and you sing for quite a while, which is not, it's pretty standard. We've done it for 5 years, and that's part of our identity at our church. But what we're thinking about doing is just kind of flipping that and turning it. But in the interest of being a lot more considerate of people who just don't do the church thing and just aren't used to it. And if you've got a friend on your arm. So that's the basic adjustment that's going to happen. And we'll do it through the 6 weeks. We'll do little bitty turns on it and see what you think. And again, it's an experiment. You're free to open and talk and send in your opinions and things. We're not married to anything. I think that's important to note and understand. Now, the first one that we're going to do a think, wonder, and explore. We're going to do 2 weeks on each of those subjects. The very first one, and I'm telling you this in advance because this is, I know you'll get a lot out of it. I think you will anyway. But this is for your friend. I'm inviting someone I don't think goes to church, but we're going to talk about the whole idea that people have a false choice in our culture, and the choice is you can either be a rational, reasonable person, or you can be a person of faith, but you can't be both. And so can you think as a believing Christian person? A lot of people think you can't. A lot of people think that faith is defined by not thinking about stuff, just taking that leap in the dark, so to speak. And so we're going to be going in, we're going to base it out of Acts 17. But the way the service will roll out is we'll start it with like a special song, kind of like our prelude, but it'll start right on the hour. And then it will go into, the campus pastors are going to interact. They're going to ask some people questions. We're going to be able to do some text surveys, things like that. I don't want to give it all away, but I really do want you to know what's coming for the sake of your guests, because this is really more about them than it is any of us. All right. So it'll kind of walk through. They'll get everybody on topic. The message will come up a lot earlier in the service than it normally does, and then coming out of that will be the worship thing. But the main thing, so if you have anybody in your life that does kind of think that, like, can you be a rational person, but at the same time be a person of faith? If they're curious about that question or don't really know what to think about it, bring them. And that will be the topic of that day. Now, the next week will be to give them some things to think about. And so that I'll tell you more about that the next time around. But I'm kind of watching for questions if you happen to have any. I know this is very generic and things, but as we walk through, I'll try to field those things. I really like this idea. So will there a response song? Yes, the worship sets, what we're trying to think through. We do want to give responses. We do want to create times where people can pray. Honestly, if you were at the Full Life Conference, we want to model after a little bit of that. I don't want to lock into anything like that, but at the same time, we want to create moments where we coach people through, and we want to be mindful that some of them are unbelievers, very very unfamiliar with church, and of course there's believers who want to go all out. So we'll try to coach the worship a little bit more. Exactly what you're thinking. That's good. Good for you. That's awesome. Any other questions or anything? I'll do these at different times. They will post for 24 hours, so you can always watch them a little bit later. You don't necessarily have to do it live. But if you've got questions that you think of, I'm going to try to do these every day, different times from different places. But I really appreciate everybody being with me and not calling me ugly in your comments. So will the changes be permanent? Great question. And the answer is no. This is an experiment. We know we want to do it for the series. I'll probably do it during the Christmas thing. But the main thing is I think we're going to go for variety a lot more. We're just going to reorder things. We want to get to the point where you never know quite what to expect, but you expect it to be good. That would be the ultimate goal. So we'll play around with it again. We'll experiment around with it and see what happens. So, but great question. Appreciate that one. Anything else by anybody before I sign off? Hope you have a fantastic day. It's a great Thursday. I'm not sure. It'll probably be in the morning tomorrow. Appreciate that. So you guys are very, very encouraging, and lots of hearts are flowing. So hope you all have a great night. See you.